think as someone who has mostly been befriended and dated narcissistic, toxic people or people with narcissistic traits, the people-pleasing aspect of myself is always kind of there still. So the guilt and shame is so natural for me that it's an automatic reaction. I don't even have to think about it. It's like I do or think something, boom, immediate guilt. So for me, in really any and many situations, it's very easy for those feelings of guilt and shame to come to surface, even if it's simply things like standing up for myself, doing what's right for me rather than placating to others and what would make their lives easier, and therefore once again dismissing myself and what I need and what I want my life to be like. And this is an aspect of myself that I've been working on and working through for the last few years, and believe me, I still am. This working through these people pleasing and those really intense feelings of guilt and shame helped me see helped me see the friendship for what it truly was. And without really doing that work and reflecting deeply on those feelings of guilt and shame and where it comes from, I don't know if the friendship would have ever ended, and I don't know what that would look like for me. It would be really bad. But I believe any residual guilt that I had felt, which I don't feel at all anymore, to be honest, which, side note, I think also because I have BPD, I can very easily detach myself from others, which, it can be looked at as a great strength, but also a great weakness. So there's that aspect as well. If anything, what I feel is maybe residual feelings of anger and betrayal, which are other emotions to work through. So through therapy and really working on myself and all of the other factors that I've mentioned really helped me reach a place of acceptance, which truly is very freeing and helped me release those feelings of guilt. Those feelings of guilt for me are more so ingrained, deeply rooted in me from fear of rejection, abandonment, and the tendency to people please. When I think back to the friendship and when I cut her off and any guilt tries to crawl into my mind, I'm very quickly reminded of the toxic reality of what our friendship was, and there's just no looking past that once you see it. I was being authentic and standing up for myself and doing what was best for me for once. I wasn't dismissing or invalidating myself, and I wasn't putting her needs before mine like I had done for way, way, way too long. So I think what's actually super helpful is reflecting and thinking of where this guilt is truly coming from. Is it really from cutting her off? Or is it because you finally stood your ground and put boundaries? Listen to that inner knowing and voice. And maybe it's something you're usually not comfortable doing and a bit scary. That's how I felt. But we know within our core what the truth is. We know deep down what's going on. Part of us can want to revert back to old comforts or the status quo, because listening to yourself and doing what's right for you is scary. It's uncomfortable. It's uncharted territory. And that's when guilt and shame kicks in. And just reminding myself that I don't want to have to shrink or minimize myself for the sake of someone else when there's plenty of room for all of us to shine and be our big selves and take up space. So I think reflecting and understanding how this guilt appears and why is super helpful to coming to conclusions that make sense. And then you can release these feelings of guilt and shame because you understand where they come from, and you can make amends and acknowledge this within yourself. That heavy weight of guilt can be released, and sometimes you don't even realize how much of a heavy burden you are carrying until you do release it, and suddenly it's like you can breathe again. You don't need that guilt and shame. It's not yours. You can move forward. You can breathe. There's no more room for guilt and shame, for making choices that are best for you and that you know are best for you.